I'm Becky Dowd, and this is The Journey to Salvation. Join me as we walk alongside real people and hear the unique journeys that led them to faith in Jesus. Today, my guest is Joe Peeler. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
We're recording this pretty early in the morning.
Yes.
On a Saturday morning. I made you get out of bed early. But anyway, so Joe, I got to know you, I think at CR on Thursday nights at Union Avenue.
Yes.
But could you just share a little bit of your upbringing?
I had one of the best upbringings that you could ask for. I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee, up until about 1978. My parents moved over there, and my father worked over there, and so we were in. He was right out of the military, so he bought a house over there in Whitehaven. Mm-hmm. This was in the 60s and 70s, and that's where I was raised up through the years, and my father's always been a real religious man, a God-fearing man. Mm-hmm. So he's my hero. Mm-hmm. My true hero is Jesus Christ, but my earthly father was one that I looked up to, and his mother was very religious, and my father was too. And the house we had was right adjacent to a great big Baptist church in Memphis, Tennessee. And matter of fact, we played in their parking lot. And he took us to church every time the doors was open. He wasn't real strict about it, but you knew Wednesdays, Sundays, he's going to church. Mm-hmm. And that's just how I was raised. I rode horses and trained horses, played football, and had a really fantastic life, you know. And then my mother got a job with Walmart. She moved, her first job was Walmart in Park City, assistant manager. So she was driving back and forth. We moved over here in 78. Still, I hadn't touched anything. I was mm-hmm. playing ball.
How old were you in 78 when you moved?
I think it was like 15, 16, okay. Something like that. So we moved over here. That way she wouldn't have to drive back and forth. Mm-hmm. And
so you moved to Wynn?
We moved to Wynn because my grandparents both said my mama's mom, she lived over here with my aunt, uh-huh. And my grandparents owned land out on the Bay Road. So we moved out over here, and that way she wouldn't have to drive back toward Memphis. And, mm-hmm. He was a salesman, so he drove back and forth, and I'd work the summers with him. And different odd and end jobs, I've always worked. The biggest part. We'll get into that part later on, but he was. I find my mom was too. She wasn't as church going as he was, but she mm-hmm. believed in God, but she wasn't, like he was. He was a devout Christian, mm-hmm. and so we moved over here, and she went to work at Bar City, and that's when I started in Wynn, 79, I think. That thing was real good. I still playing ball and doing the horse thing. Then I started, I was still going back and forth, working on the weekends in Memphis. But I had a cousin that I grew up with. He was only a year difference in us. He kind of done things that we shouldn't have done. Mm-hmm. But I didn't, it took a while, and I finally picked up, started just dabbling a little bit.
Was this in drugs or alcohol?
Both. Just, what do you call it? Recreational thing. We kids, we were mm-hmm. teenagers, we were drinking. It started out drinking, then it went to, smoking marijuana. And life was still good. My father was still on me about going to church. Well, my mother's mother lived here And she was the one that took care of me, or took care of us, because my mother worked. But she kept my finances for me. She kept me online and in school. And I got two other brothers and a sister. I was the only one that graduated high school out of all of them.
Oh, wow.
And
where were you in the lineup of your brothers and sisters?
middle. I had an older brother. He's passed on. I got an older sister. And then I had a younger brother. He's passed on. But I would spend the summers over here with her. She would come to Memphis, stay with us, and we would ride back and forth. But she was, and then she started getting sick. I got married in 1981. I graduated school in 1981, and I had a child in 1981.
Wow.
It was a busy.
Busy year.
And she was still here then. And then that's the year when she passed away. Things started changing then. Like I said, I was married. I was supposed to be the responsible one. I was supposed to be the one running. But it started going downhill after that. She would snatch a knot in you real quick. I had a cousin tell me later on in life, if Granny would have still been here, you wouldn't have turned out like you did. Mm. And it stuck with me for a long time. My parents are fantastic. Fantastic. And so, like I said, I got married and I started working. And I wasn't that bad, just smoking a little weed every now and then. And, that seemed to be the thing that everybody here was doing, Started raising my kids, and I did good for a long time, just, casual partying and all that. I used to be my son and my cousin's son's baseball coach. My father quit his job and become a preacher, a pastor here in Wynn. And so things were just starting to get a little different. I was, supposed to be a married, grown man. Mm-hmm. I was doing the best I knew how to do. I say in the 90s, meth come along.
So by then you're what, in your early 30s?
Yes. I said I still worked with my father in Memphis. Then he was a salesman, and I'd go over and drive the truck, make deliveries for him, and I didn't stay over here all the time. But then I went to work at Halstead. And I worked at Halstead from 86 to 96. And around that time is when I was introduced to meth, which I was still smoking weed and drinking, but it wasn't nothing. But when I was introduced to meth, it went to heck in a handbasket.
Well, at that time, was that fairly new?
Oh, yes.
In the drug scene?
Oh, yes.
So no one really knew much
No
about
one knew
that.
anything about it. It wasn't prevalent. I mean, truck drivers, did, but it hit the scene here, and I started dabbling in it. And then it just got to where it was worse. It got worse and worse. And I lost my job in 96 at Halstead because of it. I went to rehab. They sent me to rehab in Forest City. That's for all these other rehabs around. It was just a secular rehab. I went down there for 30 days, and I could go back to work, but I was tired of swing shifts, so I thought I wanted to go do something else. Nah, it didn't. It didn't work. It just spiraled out of control. And that was
Did you choose to go to rehab, or?
My father told me.
Okay. You didn't really volunteer. You just.
No, I didn't really volunteer.
Yeah. So it was just a 30-day.
It was
program.
just a little 30-day program. It didn't teach you nothing about recovery, none of that.
Yeah.
He told me I was going to go to rehab. Because he didn't really know about it. He knew something wasn't wrong. Something was wrong.
Right.
And he told me I was going to go to rehab or I was going to hit the streets. So I went to rehab. And when I was in that rehab down there, it's at Forest City Hospital down there. It's when they had it. See, they filled me so full of different pills. Every morning you take a handful.
At the rehab?
At the rehab. Vitamins, anxiety, depression. I wasn't taking anything. And they just kept pumping me full of them. Man, I was worse then than I was when I was on the street. So I left that program and got back on the streets. When I was doing meth, it's all kind of different chemicals and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to get, but it's the cooking of methamphetamine come around. Making your own. Mm-hmm. Stupid idea, If I learned to make my own, I know what's in it. Mm-hmm. That was... And a guy I knew introduced me how to do it. And
so you started doing it?
Yes. I started making my own. And that's when it spiraled out of control. And then I got busted manufacturing. Started going to jail, prisons. It's just a downward spiral. I lost my job. Couldn't keep a job, off and on. And once she'd been labeled as a meth cook, and every time you turn around, I was going to jail. I've been to prison 5 times over the years.
Did you ever want to get help back then, or was it just something you wanted to?
I went to a couple other rehabs. I went to Webber Mills and Searcy 2 different times to get out of court dates to help with my, I go up there and they would drop some of the sentences, then. But the rehabs then aren't like what we have now. Mm-mm. But with like the Harbor and Steer Straight and all these different, there's rehabs everywhere for men and women to go and seek help and follow God's way. Mm-hmm. Well, it's only by God's grace I'm sitting here today. But I learned to do that, and I ain't proud of it, but that's part of life. Mm-hmm. So I kept on, and we kept on, and I go in and out of jobs, in and out of rehab, prisons, jails. Me and my wife were both into it. I ain't going to give God too much glory. I mean, give God all the glory. I ain't going to give the devil too much, but I don't want to give him any glory. Like I said, I couldn't keep a job. I was always going to jail, or my kids were always staying with my mom, my dad. My dad raised most my kids, Mm-hmm. After I got into it, they were always there with him because we'd always be doing. Me and my wife got into a situation where she was tired of it. We didn't have anywhere to live. I was in jail, and my parents had kicked us out. My wife was, living in our vehicle, and I was in jail. She went to stay with a friend of hers. When I got out of jail, I couldn't find her. She was out there with them. But she had gotten tired of it and moved to Harrisburg with her brother and sister-in-law. She wasn't coming back. We had a friend up there that we used to be in the mess together, Jason Taylor. Him and his wife, he had went to John 3:16 and come out and was doing great. And
so what year was this?
2014, 15. She had went up there, and the Restoration House in Harrisburg had just opened. And my wife called Jason and said that, would he come get her for church? And him and his wife come got her and took care of the church. The Restoration House had just started. He got her in there. She stayed there for 18 months. She told me she wasn't coming back until I got mm-hmm. straight. I got my life together. I was down here by myself doing whatever
you wanted.
Whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it. It's a miserable life. Miserable life. I had a friend of mine that he got me a job, and I was working for him. I was straight. I was on and off. And I got working for him, and I wasn't doing it at that time, but then I started back. And this is a real good friend of mine, a classmate of ours. He got me a job and working. He called and told me, he said, I don't need you anymore. He said, I know you're back on that stuff. I said, okay. Yeah, which is true. Which is true, because he changed the whole attitude. So he fired me, and that took a blow. But I was going to see my wife, and on Sundays, so I would stop Saturday, you know what I mean? And I was at rock bottom. I was living with my brother, no job, no nothing. But I was still getting high off and on. So she said, I ain't coming back. Well, I was in there one afternoon, computer room, and I'd been getting high for like 4 hours. And I went in there and sat down. This is God now. This is a good part. It's what I like. Not to get the high part, but I went and sat down on the bed. She'd been praying that I'd go get help. I felt something come over me. And the Lord said, you're ready. And right at that very second, the high left. The desire port left. And I felt something come over me. There ain't nothing but the Holy Spirit come in and wrapped his arms around me and said, you're ready. I looked around to see where the high went. He said, you're ready. Some of us are a little hard-headed than others. So he had to slap me in the back of the head, put it. Hey, but like I said, the high left, there's this high left right then. So I called my wife, and I said, look, now don't tell nobody. But Jason had been telling me that when I got ready, he'd help me. I said, don't tell nobody, but I'm ready. I said, I'll see you at church tomorrow. Of course, I got there, everybody knew it. She done told everybody. So I went and talked to Jason. He said, we'll start going next Sunday. And so we went 3 or 4 trips to John 3:16, and I finally got in.
So what year is this?
I went in October 2015, and it's 6 months of 1 year program. So I went in, back up just a little bit. Jason Taylor, if you know him like I know him, I'm like, well, and he was doing fantastic work, and he got married, and all. I said, now, if this can change him, then it could change me. And it did. I surrendered my life to Christ. I'd been baptized as a child, back when I was going to Memphis. But when the Lord come over me and said, you're ready. And nobody else could. Like I said, I've been to many secular rehabs and all that. But when the Lord says you're ready, you're ready. So I went through John 3:16. My wife had come out of she was a house mom and things, something happened. So she come back, but I was like using an excuse that my brother was sick. I couldn't really go, because I had to make sure he's okay.
Go to John 3:16?
Yeah. So the Lord sent her back home.
Because John 3:16 is an inpatient program, right?
Yes. It's a 6 month to 1 year boot camp for men. That was really like the only one around here at that time. The Lord sent her back home so I could go get what he had for me. I didn't know what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But I knew I was sick and tired of living the life I was living. So he sent me to John 3:16. I went up there and done the program. Come out of it. And I did not want to come back to win. I did not want to come back to win.
Why is that?
Because I knew everything here, everybody here, everything here, the life that I lived was here, the old life.
Was it because of maybe temptations or just because people knew how you used to be?
People knew how I used to be in the temptation because everybody I knew here was still doing.
Right.
So I tried to stay in Batesville. That didn't work. I said, well, we'll stay in Harrisburg. That didn't work. So he brought me back here to win. And I didn't know why. But I knew he had something for me because of the way things was going. So my intentions was to come back here and help with jail ministry. That had fell through because at that time, they quit allowing people to do the jail ministry. So that that didn't fall through. I didn't know what God had for me, but
which they do that at times, and then it starts back.
Yeah, it starts back up.
I think they're able to go in the jail right now.
Yeah, they're going in there now, but at that time they shut it all down. I'm like, I don't know why are you having me back here? Why are you having me back here? But my church supported me, and so the friend I was telling you about that gave me the job that fired me, I was going around seeing him. Well, Union Avenue has a men's breakfast. And he said, "Why don't you come down here and go down here with me to this men's breakfast?" All right. So I went down there to the men's breakfast at Union Avenue, sat through it, had a good time, and he said, "Why don't you give your testimony one?" I said, "I can do that." I was going to go down there. I was going to promote John 3:16. That's what I was going down to Union Avenue the next time I went and give my testimony to promote John 3:16, which I did. But the pastor there, Pastor Gary, as we was all sitting over after I gave my testimony, he come over and sat down, and he said, "I think you're who I'm looking for." I'm like, man, I've heard that before, but I always wound up in jail, So we sat there and talked, and he said, "I got something that I want to do, and it's Celebrate Recovery." He said, "I don't know nothing about drugs, alcohol. I couldn't tell you anything. I don't know how to speak it. I don't know nothing about it." I said, "Well, I got you covered on that part." I said, "I know all about it. I got you covered." He said, he'd already bought the books. There was no CRs around here at that time. Nowhere. No, Jonesboro was only one. Went home, prayed about it. The Lord kept pointing it towards me. So and I kept putting it off, I had gotten my job I got now, good job.
Because you were just, less than a year out of your addiction?
Yes. Yeah, I was. It wasn't even a year, Yeah. I talked to one of my spiritual mentors, Miss Ruby, and I didn't know nothing about no CR. I didn't know anything about it. I heard about it. So we got together and went to Jonesboro to that one, see how it was. When we come back, I talked to Pastor Gary. I said, "I'll do it." But I kept procrastinating because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. So Miss Ruby told me, she said, "Pick a date and stick with it." I said, "Okay." So I picked a date. We started a Chain Breakers ministry at Union Avenue. And that's been over 10 years ago. That's what God has called me to do. I want to do something in ministry, and that's what he's called me to do. Mm-hmm. And Pastor Gary's moved to a different church, but he supported me. He bought our books for us and got us in there and gave us a place to do it. I said, wonder what God's calling was, and it was to help other men and women in recovery through Christ.
Yes.
So, Celebrate Recovery is a faith-based,
Christ-centered.
Christ-centered,
Yeah.
And because I know if he did it for me, he can do it for other people. Mm-hmm. So we started it, and now these other CRs have come off of it. That's why God brought me back to Win, to help reach people in addiction that like I have. And I've seen a lot of my friends, old friends, that have changed their ways too. Mm-hmm. A lot have passed on. Because, getting on up in age.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been to your CR several times, and I do see that, whenever we do have, especially have new people come in, that they're there for the first time.
Yes.
You really seem to reach out to them and try to get them connected.
Yes.
And I think some of that you do on Facebook, but you're just really trying to stay connected to those people, following up with them, making sure that that they have somebody there that they can reach out to. Because I know that first time being there is probably a big, big step. And you probably want to make sure that they are there the next week too.
Yes. Well, go back to the church that I went. I started going to this church, Christian Fellowship, because my daughter met Miss Ruby in the jail ministry. And she said, Dad, why don't you go to this church? Well, I started going to this church. And they showed me the love of Jesus. They didn't really know, but they knew sometimes I wouldn't shut up. Sometimes but they loved me like Jesus. Mm-hmm. They didn't judge me. They loved me like Jesus. So that's what I try to do to these men and women now, is show them the love of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And to let them know that someone does love them.
And there's a way out.
And there is a way out, because I've lived it, and I'm living it now, the way out. Yeah. Now I have a fantastic job. I have the keys to the church. I have the keys to everything the company has. I have the credit cards. Mm-hmm.
You probably never thought that would happen.
No,
in your life.
In my life, I drive all their vehicles. I'm on all their insurances. I open the building. I close the building. They ask me for things. Back in the day, he wouldn't even let me lean against your car. But that's all what Christ can do for you. Yeah. There's no other way but Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. I just want to show them the love of Christ and to love on them like Christian people loved on me. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even love myself. I didn't love nobody or myself. But the whole time Jesus was walking right there with me. I walked away from him. He was always there. I walked away. My father instilled a Christ in me, I knew. Mm. But it got so bad that I didn't know how to get back to it. I knew there's a better life, because I've lived it before. Mm-hmm. And I'm living it again through Christ. You can try anything you want, but Jesus Christ is the only way. He reached out, got a filthy wretch like me, cleaned me up. It's all about Christ.
So, Joe, do you have a favorite Bible verse that you really stick to that helps you?
Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I drive to Jonesboro every day. Like I said, I work this job. I've been there over 10 years now. Still doing CRs. It gets real taxing sometimes. I work 10, 11-hour shift, drive home and go do CRs. That's why I can't make a lot of these other ones. I've wanted to close the door several times.
Not because people weren't there, but because
poor me.
Just...
I'm tired. Mm-hmm. I could be doing this. Yeah. I work. Yeah. But God said, I did not bring you there. And whatever God puts you into, he will fund it. Mm-hmm. Financially, spiritually, strength. But you got to listen to his voice. Give into the calling.
Thank you for joining us today. New episodes release every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe and get notified when a new episode is available. You can listen on the Journey to Salvation website, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. So, where are you on your journey to salvation?